Good morning, Husker fans. Welcome back to the Husker Big Red YouTube channel. I'm Chris Peterson, and joining me as always is Danny Gillette. And today on this Wednesday, we're here to talk about some freshmen who will make a big impact for this Nebraska football team in 2025. We're going to look at a group of the biggest players who could maybe start or see some immediate playing time. Then we're going to go through each freshman on this roster and determine or predict, I guess I should say, whether they will redshirt this season or not. So that's what we're going to be covering today. Before we get into that, please make sure that you do us a huge favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and then get into the comments section. Let us know who you think the biggest freshman impact will be. Let us know your thoughts on our redshirt predictions for this upcoming season. So before we get into it, Danny, how are you on this Wednesday morning?
I'm good, and the switching of the windows here is making a big impact on my head because I keep looking where you are and expecting me to talk, and you where I am and expecting you to talk, so it's going to take some getting used to, but I'm happy to be in the first chair for today.
Beat me to the punch today, so
I did, which is very rare, so don't get too used to it, but
had to restart the old computer, so that's
I
what
hate
got you
when
in
that
the lead
happens.
chair today.
I hate when that happens. It's always when you need it too, right? Always right when you need it.
Yeah, every time. So, but anyway, we soldier on as the Nebraska football team has been doing this week. Before we talk about these freshmen, there was another open practice on Tuesday. We got to meet actually one of the freshmen who doesn't feel like a freshman, but Archie Wilson, the most interesting man in the world, talked a little bit about how homesick he was. So, kind of made people feel bad for, not feel bad, but it was a great reaction. Hail
Yeah,
Varsity put out a really cool thing on their social media page, which had all of the tweets that fans had kind of put out,
yeah,
like, "Oh,
yeah.
you're home now, Archie. Nebraska's your home." So I thought that was a really cool response by Husker Nation. So I just wanted to say
Yeah,
that.
no, I thought it was too, and I think that he could have the same impact as like Casey Tominaga in the sense of an international athlete, really, getting support from the fans and being a fan favorite. That's the first thing I thought of, and that's not a bad thing at all. Casey was beloved here during his time in the program, and I think Archie Wilson can have that same effect. And how often can you say that about a punter? You know?
Yeah, I don't know how often I've listed a punter among my freshman impact players, but that's where we are. So let's start with the list, and Archie Wilson definitely is on my list of impact
Yeah,
freshmen this season. It was really interesting to hear Mike Eckler talk yesterday. I didn't realize this, but he said I think he sort of misspoke because there's 16 teams in the SEC and not
yeah.
14, but he said I think 12 of the 14 teams in the SEC use an Australian punter.
I didn't
So I
know
don't
that
know if
either. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if he meant 14 out of 16, but either way, I didn't realize it was that high of a number. He also said that Archie Wilson was going to be his next punter at Tennessee. So if he didn't, it's not like he, came to Nebraska and was like, "Oh, I need to go find a punter." He had a guy. He already knew Archie Wilson. He had him scouted and everything. So Nebraska just that was one of the benefits, I guess, of hiring Mike Eckler. And we talked about that with talent acquisition. This dude knows how to acquire big time talents, and he got one in Archie Wilson, which I think is going to drastically improve the punting part of our special teams.
And who can blame Mike Eckler for getting the number confused, right? I can barely keep track of how many teams are in each conference. But when you look at where Archie Wilson, developed at Pro Kick Australia, they're known for churning out these rugby style punters. And, I think there is something to it. And the kind of rollout punter, could be very helpful in terms of blocking schemes and allowing more time to block. And, I was surprised at the fact that I believe Archie Wilson's only 18, right? If I'm not mistaken, and he seemed very mature for an 18-year-old, and I'm very excited to see what he can bring to the table. And people are like, "Oh, he's a punter, big deal." Well, I mean, I've seen punts go for 2 yards sometimes over the past couple of years, so punting is a big deal, and I'm excited for him. I'm really rooting for him, and it is a big adjustment. I mean, just think about going, halfway across the country to go punt, and he is probably missing his family, so I'm hoping that they're able to come see some games too, maybe a game this season.
Yeah, and we in terms of punting, we've seen Michigan State 2021, the punter kicks to the exact wrong
Oh,
direction, and
Chris,
Jaden Reed
why?
takes it in for the touchdown. So
I was having a
yeah,
good
we
day.
so we have literally lost games because we haven't punted the ball correctly. So
Ugh,
hopefully that's behind us. I'm sorry I had to
that's
bring it
okay.
up,
That's okay.
but
I mean, that game still haunts me. People ask me what are the
God.
some of the haunting games that I've watched. That's up there because we held Kenneth Walker pretty well too. And anyway,
The entire
brighter horizons ahead.
2021, the entire 2021 season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Michigan State, Michigan should have beat them both
Iowa.
that year. Iowa, yeah. Iowa like every year for the last like 9 years.
I know it
But
seems like that the 2022 game was sort of an anomaly with Casey Thompson and Trey Palmer. That was fun. I remember us having fun after that show. But we're gonna have a lot of fun this year with the freshman impacts, I think, and Archie Wilson is one of them.
so who else besides Archie Wilson, who else is on your radar to contribute immediately this year out of this freshman class?
Cortez Mills. I think there's no way you can keep him off the field. You play your best players. He's a baller, as the kids say, and he is the big play threat that Nebraska has been missing since Trey Palmer. So Cortez Mills.
Yeah, I agree 100%. He's definitely, one of the guys I think is going to make a huge impact this season. I think we're going to look back on his commitment in this 2025 class as maybe, I think we're going to view it as having a bigger impact than we do right now, because truly, I think this is a guy that can be like a day 2 pick in the NFL draft, a few years down the road. He's that explosive. Matt Rule compared him to Devonta Smith. I mean, I think, a guy like Deshaun Jackson, I don't think is a crazy like comparison for him. I mean, he's a home run hitter. And when you've got that paired with an elite quarterback, plus you've just got all these other not complimentary, but he's kind of a complimentary piece. You have all these other pieces like Dane Key and Barney around him. So like I said, Cortez Mills often this year, it feels like he's going to be matched up with the other team's 3rd or 4th best corner. And I like that matchup for Nebraska.
I do too, because that way he can take advantage of his speed right away. Because a lot of times 3rd or 4th corner are a little bit slower, but I do like that matchup, and I think I'd have no problem if he burned his red shirt. You play your best players, especially in today's age. You don't know if you're going to have them next year, so you play your best players. Cortez Mills is one of those players, and I can't wait to see him play.
Yeah, I can't either. In terms of other guys who. And talking about maybe like guys that can play every game this year, in turn on offense or defense or whatever. And another guy that I think probably has a good chance to do that is Isaiah Mozee, the newly minted running back Isaiah Mozee, who was getting some time with the number 1s earlier in fall camp. 6 foot, 210 pounds, can catch the ball, can run the ball. Will probably maybe play on some special teams. I definitely think he's going to see some time. With the number 1 offense in live game action, especially like in these first few weeks of the season, like you can't sit there and give the ball to Emmett Johnson all the time. And the only way these running backs are going to get that experience is by playing. So he's a guy I expect to see quite a bit in these first 3 games, maybe not as much against Cincinnati, but especially against Akron and Houston Christian. And I really, unless he's got injuries, I see him playing in every game this season.
Yeah, he's got that speed, again, like Mills. He's got that breakaway speed. He played running back in high school. I mean, so at the very least, you use these first couple games to kind of test things out. And Mozee, I believe, could have a big impact in the running back room, and that wasn't necessarily something we foresaw heading into the summer.
So we got Archie Wilson, Isaiah Mozee, Isaiah Mozee, Cortez Mills. Are there any other freshmen you think that could push for like a starting job or regular playing time this season?
Ooh, are there any other freshmen? Not off the top of my head, but I do think we're going to start to see a youth movement on both sides of the football. In general, I believe we're one of the youngest rosters in the Big Ten, so there is a lot of room for growth and building there.
I do like that. Yeah, that Nebraska is. I can't remember the exact number, but I want to say it's like 90 of like 125 or sophomores, freshmen, or redshirt freshmen, something like that. I do have I have 3 other players to watch for the season for freshmen. I'm not saying that they're all going to make impacts right away, and they may not play in all 12 games. So one guy I do think who will is Dawson Merritt, the freshman linebacker, 6'3", 225. He's been getting more buzz coming out of practice. I think he's going to work his way into the 2 deep. I think we'll see him a lot on special teams. I also think that he will, get some time with the defense this season too. So I think he's somebody that we'll be talking about by the end of the season as, being in the mix with those guys, Javin Wright, I'm blanking of the guy, Marquise Watson, Trent, Vincent Shavers. I think he'll be in the conversation there. And then Cade Patrizak, the edge, defensive end, 6'5", 265. That's big time for a freshman. He's maybe even though he was a 4-star, I think he's one of the most underrated players in this class, just in terms of he doesn't get a lot of buzz. Nebraska fans don't talk about him a ton, but I think that will change after this season. I think by the end of the year, he's going to be a guy who, maybe doesn't play in every game, but plays in enough games down the stretch that he will establish a role for himself in 2026. And I think the same thing could happen with Malcolm Simpson. He was banged up a little bit in camp, so I could see him taking a minute to get going, but I think he'll add to that defensive line depth before the season's over.
Yeah, I was gonna say Simpson, but I was wondering about his health. I know he's banged up right now. He's a guy that looks like a grown man already. Like he is a force on the defensive line. And when you look at the defensive line and kind of Riley Van Poppel, Malcolm Simpson, these are guys with young but very talented football players. And I think, just generally speaking, although that defensive line may be young, I think we're going to see them play really well right away.
Yeah, for sure. Malcolm Simpson was banged up. I believe he's practicing again now, so hopefully he'll have a chance to make an impact. But those are kind of the 6 guys I think that I could see, playing on the line of scrimmage. Some will probably get on their way on or get on the field on special teams as well. I thought it was interesting that Mike Eckler said, if it's close between like a starter and a younger player, they would rather play the younger player on special teams. But they said they would play starters if they had to, and that's something he didn't really do at Tennessee. So I thought that was interesting.
And I kind of like that. I mean, you give the younger guys time, but if you're not sure about something, because like you said the other day, catching a punt, for example, is a really, really hard thing to do. So you want someone with sure hands back there, a veteran back there. And having that flexibility where you can either put a young guy or a veteran, and having kind of Mike Eckler like lead the charge on special teams is certainly a positive thing.
All right, so now we're going to go just through each freshman. We're going to cover each freshman here in the 2025 class, and we're going to predict whether they were going to end up redshirting this season or not. And we're going to go.
So just a yes or no answer.
Yep, and we're going to go, and you can elaborate on it if you want. So we're going to start Connor Booth, 6 foot, 215-pound running back. You think he will redshirt this season?
Yes.
I'll agree with that. I think he'll see a little bit of time, but I don't think he'll play in more than 4 games. Jackson Carpenter, the wide receiver out of Lincoln.
Yes, just because there's a lot of depth at wide receiver, it has nothing to do with his talent. Very talented football player.
Yeah, I agree. Just too much depth. He'll be a redshirt guy this year.
He's going to be good, I think, though. I feel like he's flying under the radar, too.
I like him a lot. 6'1", 200 pounds is what he came in at. Sean Hammerbeck, 6'6", 265 pounds. I really like this kid. I don't see him burning his redshirt this season, though.
I don't either, but I think he's going to be a big piece for the future.
Here's an interesting one. Jeremiah Jones, 6'4", 225-pound receiver, ton of potential, a guy that probably could play on defense. I think he could be a pass rusher too, but he's playing receiver now. Do you think he burns his red shirt this season?
That's a good one.
It's a tough one.
Yes.
I agree. I'm going to say yes. I think it's close, but I think he will get. I think he just has so much potential. I think by the end of the season, he'll get some opportunities to.
I feel like he'll be used a lot on special teams, like as that return. I know Ja'Cory Barney kind of wants that role, but I'd rather have Jeremiah Jones over one of my starting receivers as a punt returner.
And I think I saw Caleb Benning was in the mix there too, so that could be another name to watch. So now in one of Nebraska's highest rated commits, signees, Christian Jones, 6'2", 235 out of Elkhorn. That's legit measurement. Do you think he redshirts?
Yes. A lot of depth at linebacker right now.
I'm going to say no. I think he'll play enough on special teams to get over that 4-game limit, but I don't see him playing a ton at linebacker. I just don't see him and Dawson Merritt like getting a ton of snaps at linebacker. Yeah. So I agree in that sense, but I think he will get enough play on special teams to burn his red shirt.
And it's a good problem to have. You don't want to, have to rush your freshmen into things. And we've done that before. And sometimes it hasn't worked out.
Houston Kahahina Torres. Hopefully I didn't mess that up. 6'3", 300-pound freshman out of Hawaii.
Yeah. Hill red shirt.
I agree. I think he might be Justin Evans has 2 more years, so I think this guy's going to be the center of the future for Nebraska. But I don't see him playing much this year. TJ Lateef, who's been kind of building some buzz this year. Do you think he gets in more than 4 games?
Yes, actually, I do. I feel like he's gonna probably get some time, maybe towards the end of the season, because as much as we don't want to talk about it, I kind of worry about the back issue with Dylan Raiola, and that kind of, um, reared its ugly head at the end of the season. So I think the wear and tear of the season will allow him to get some game action in.
I'm hoping that he doesn't have to. I think they'll play him 4 games. I think their ideal strategy with TJ Lateef will be to play him in 4 games this season, and that's it. And try to preserve his red shirt if they can. But yeah, there is an injury to Raiola. Between him and Gramstad, I think there's a chance he could overtake Jalen Gramstad by the end of the season just based on his talent, the more experience he gets. So it's very, I think this one's up in the air. I'm gonna say no, though. I'm gonna say that he redshirts this season, but it's close. I think he plays 4 games exactly. Okay, Julian Juju Marks, 6'4", 4-star, 310-pound offensive tackle.
Yes, he'll redshirt.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Dawson Merritt.
No, I think he'll play.
Okay, and I agree. I already said I think he'll get some time on defense and play in 12 games this season, so he'll be a no. Cortez Mills, we both said no on him. I don't think we need to. We both agree that he's not going to redshirt this season. What about Pierce Mooberry, another in-state guy from Omaha, 6'3", 220 linebacker is where he came in at.
He'll redshirt. Very intriguing player, though. Very solid athlete overall.
Yeah, I agree that he will redshirt. I am excited to see what he develops into. I think he could play multiple spots. I think I could see him as a Jack. I could see him as a Will, maybe even a Mike. I think he's got a lot of interesting potential. Isaiah Mozee, we both said that he is going to play this year. I think he'll play more than 4 games. This one is interesting, though. What about Jamarian Parker, 5'11", 200 pounds out of St. Louis? Really high out of him coming out of high school, but do you think he'll make an impact this season?
No, but I think it's because they're going to be happy with the depth that they have. And I think with his injuries right now and, just trying to get him back to full strength, I don't know if we'll see him.
Yeah, I'm going to say no. I did have high hopes for him this season, but with him being hurt for fall camp, I think that's going to set him back.
Yeah.
I don't quite remember if he enrolled early or not. I want to say no. I just don't remember. But I think he's just a little too far behind the 8 ball at this point. I still think he has a bright future, though. So I just don't see him getting a ton of carries this year, which probably would be a good thing. That probably means that we don't have, injuries and things like that. So Cade Petrizak.
I believe he will redshirt this year, yes.
Okay, I'm gonna say no. I think he'll get over 4 games. I think by the end of the season, he'll work his way into that rotation a little bit. Malcolm Simpson.
No, I think he'll play.
I agree. I think he'll play in more than 4 games this season. Brian Tapu, 6'5", 295-pound offensive lineman.
Yes, but he's going to be a big part of the future.
I really do like him. I'm glad that they got his commitment, but yeah, I don't see him playing this season. Tanner Turch, linebacker, only listed at 6'1", 190, but and a guy that could play safety as well.
I'm gonna say he will redshirt. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll redshirt too. Caden Vermas, 6 foot, 190 pounds, out of Omaha, defensive back.
Well, it depends where they put him. You thinking safety?
I think so. Yeah, that's what seems like his best fit.
Yes, for now, but I really like, and he was one of the. I remember him being committed since last April, so he's stuck around for a little bit.
Yeah, I like him too. I do think he'll redshirt this season. I skipped over Tyson Terry, who's checked in at 6'2", 310 pounds. What about him?
He'll redshirt this year. He's still working his way back from injury, and I'd rather have him fully healthy for 2026.
Yeah, I think he'll use his redshirt this year, but probably a good chance he would have redshirted anyway, even if he wasn't hurt. Just based on the depth chart, I am excited that he checked in at 6'2", 310 pounds though. So that has me excited for the future. If he can, I'd like to see hopefully some buzz, like in practice about him, towards the end of the season, just that he's healthy and getting some reps, because I think that will really help him for next year. So the last guy, because we already touched on Archie Wilson. He's obviously not going to redshirt. He's going to be Nebraska's starting punter. Bryson Weber, 6'3", 190-pound defensive back cornerback out of Texas.
No.
I agree. I don't think he will redshirt. I think he'll play on special teams, and it wouldn't shock me if he played on defense by the end of the season, because you just don't know how. They've already had Bly Hill get hurt at cornerback, and he impressed me in the spring. I think he is one of, just in terms of raw ability, I think he's one of Nebraska's best cover corners. So, if he develops quicker than expected, I think there's a chance he could be the 4th or 5th best corner by the end of the season.
Yeah, I agree. And, you look at, just like you said, his speed and his raw athletic ability, there's a lot there. And there's a lot to like.
So yeah, there's a lot to like about this entire freshman class. That's 20 guys, or I guess 21 with the count Archie Wilson, but 12 blue chippers in this class. So, really, I think going to be one that we look back on as kind of a turning point for Matt Rule's career here at Nebraska, one that helped push this program forward. And I think guys that are going to make a lot of early impacts this season. So yeah, we'll wrap up that video, you guys. So if you haven't already, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let us know what you think about this freshman class. And as always, go Big Red.
Go Big Red.